Oh, we always love having Jamal Crawford on. Turner Sports NBA analyst, three-time winner of the NBA Sixth Man of the Year, great scorer, and Jamal back on the program. Jamal, how are you? How's the jumper?
I'm great. And it's still there. It's still really, really in motion. So it's
Could
still
you
there.
play right? What are you, 42 in a week?
Yes, 42 in a week.
Could you play right now?
Absolutely, for sure.
Why are you not playing?
That's the million-dollar question, Dan. That's been something that's kind of drove me crazy for a while. It's amazing when I see guys have high-scoring games, 40 or 50, and people are like, hey, that's the next star. I told you he was going to be a star. And I'm like, that's true. But I got 50 and really couldn't even get a job the next year, and that's kind of baffling for me as well.
How old were you when you scored 50?
39. I was 39 years old. But I did do it off the bench, so I still have some juice there.
But you had to embrace that. And I guess it's hard for today's player to say, I'm not good enough to be in the starting lineup. But it's not true because you were. But how did that help your career coming off the bench as the sixth man?
Well, I think it put people on notice because I was known as a good player on bad teams. When I was scoring a lot, we weren't winning a lot. And I said, you know what? I'll do anything. And as fate would have it, I got traded to the Atlanta Hawks, and they already had their starting five in place. They had been to the playoffs, so I said, I'll come off the bench, no problem. And it sounded easier than when I actually had to do it. But then when I had to do it, I was like, oh, I can do this. And I think it extended my career. I think people viewed me in a different light. And I thought you would need a player like that to be a championship caliber team, looking at guys like Jason Terry and Manu Ginobili.
I saw where Kyle Korver is working with Ben Simmons. If you were working with Ben Simmons, what would you work on?
I work on the mental part of it first. I would get him in a relaxed place as far as having fun. It's not life or death. I would get him in that pace. Whenever he had the most fun, whether it was a kid or child, and when he's coming up in high school, try to put him in that state as much as possible to kind of free everything else.
But I wonder about, you get into a fourth quarter, and you could almost see him looking at the clock like we're going into the fourth quarter. I don't want to be taking shots, consciously, subconsciously. How do you remove that from somebody who has that much talent of you want the ball in your hands in the fourth quarter?
I would possibly trick him that it's the first quarter. DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan, right? Free throws, he would get a little nervous late in games. And I've never said this before, but I would go up and sing to him. I would sing a song to get him to smile and relax before he shot free throws. And in the fourth quarter, I bet you his free throw percentage was a lot higher than it was the first three quarters.
Paulie, check that. What song did you sing to DeAndre Jordan?
Biggie, 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 can't you see? And he starts singing it with me, and then he starts smiling. He asked me about it. Then he starts smiling, and then he relaxed and start making free throws.
Oh. I start to think about this with the offense that's played now. Now we want to christen Joel Embiid and James Harden as the new Shaq and Kobe. How do you played against Shaq and Kobe? How do you feel about that when after, 5 games we want to say right. they're the new Kobe and Shaq?
Yeah, that's the area we're in now. But no, there's only one Shaq and Kobe. That's the most dynamic duo, I would say, ever, potentially as strong as they both were. They won championships, so they were able to earn the right of Shaq being Shaq and Kobe, right? Like you said, 5 games is rather soon. I think they're both Hall of Fame talents. I think they're both very, very skilled and very, very good, quite honestly. But we're a little early on that proclamation.
Okay, what happens to Harden? Because he's a wonderful player, fascinating player, but man, he can giveth and taketh away, Jamal, and certainly in the playoffs. What happens to Harden?
Well, I think with James especially, his gift is how intelligent he is as a basketball player. But also his other gift is how free he plays. He plays really free. He's at peace with his game. He's never rushing. He's never, he's dictating everything that's going on. In the playoffs, it tightens up. And then they allow you to be more physical. One of James' gifts is being able to be a foul magnet, right? But he gets fouls in the regular season he doesn't necessarily get in the playoffs. And sometimes that's an adjustment for him as well. Yeah,
it's just that if I was best duo in basketball right now is who?
Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I agree.
I feel like they have mismatches most nights, and they both perform the best on the biggest stages, on the brightest stages. Just like last night's game, that was a game within the game for them. They wanted to send a message, and they knew the whole country was watching. They knew Ben Simmons Like, come on out, Ben. You can come out and they can boo you, but we got your back. Don't worry about this. We got it.
God, when I watch Durant in transition, Jamal, 7-footer, and then he crosses over Tobias Harris. And have you ever seen anybody block Durant's shot? Like jumper?
No, I have not. And the thing about Kevin, he's one of the rare superstars in history who doesn't disrupt your offense. Watching him play is like watching the water come out of a faucet. He can play the catch and shoot game. He can play the pick and roll game. He can play the isolation game. He can play the post game. And he always makes the right play. And that's what also makes him so hard to guard, because he's not like, oh, he's just going to score. He's going to shoot every time. It's like, no, I'll score. You double team, I'll make the correct pass. And people love playing with players like that.
Paulie, do you have DeAndre Jordan's free throw numbers first quarter, fourth quarter?
I kind of have something that could help Jamal Crawford's case.
Okay.
Before Jamal Crawford joined the Clippers, DeAndre Jordan was shooting 38% from the free throw line. The next year, he went to 43%, 44%, 48% with Jamal Crawford on the team.
In fourth quarter, I guarantee it's even higher than that.
So you played against peak Kobe, peak LeBron, late Jordan?
Yes, Wizards Jordan.
Okay. And how different was Jordan as the Wizards Jordan and the Bulls?
Well, obviously, a little bit older, but he was still dominant. People forget his first year with the Wizards before he had the knee injury. Him and Kobe were the only two guys in the whole league that were averaging like 25, 5, and 5. And Jordan was 39 years old. So he was still unbelievably good. I had a chance to train with him coming into that season. But obviously a little bit older. He had to pick his spots a lot more to save his energy. Kobe was like nothing I had ever played against, because I didn't see Wizards. I didn't see Bulls Jordan. So Kobe was just the talent, the skill level, the artistry, the mentality. He can go 0 for 8 and hit the game winner with like it was nothing. 0 for 8 meant he was closer to getting hot. He wasn't thinking like he had an off night, right? And then LeBron is just, he's a freak of nature. You've never seen a player that athletic with that kind of IQ. His basketball intelligence, he's a chess master. He's always moving pieces, always moving across the board, always thinking the game. I would say he's almost like a bigger version of CP when it comes to how they think the game. They're chess masters.
Okay, I'll give you MJ, Kobe, LeBron in their prime as a teammate.
As a teammate?
Yeah.
I didn't play with any one of them. But if you ask me how I viewed them as a peer.
Which one would you want as a teammate?
I would say Michael.
Okay.
Just because I feel like he's one of one. Michael is so great that when somebody else is great in another field, we say that's the Michael Jordan of that. I would want to be a part of that, and the Bulls are my favorite team growing up.
Yeah, but I would want LeBron if I'm a shooter like you are, because Mike and Kobe, they're going to cut into your shots there, Jamal.
Yeah, it didn't say I would play with my whole career, but I want to go through that phenomenon. I want to see what that's like. I'm a young player coming in. Don't forget, I came in as a point guard, so I'll be fine with him.
We're talking to Jamal Crawford, Turner Sports NBA analyst, 3-time winner of the NBA Sixth Man of the Year. Were you in the Gatorade commercial with Jordan?
I was.
You played how old were you? You played the younger Jordan, the Bulls version of Jordan, and he's with the Wizards?
Absolutely. I was 22, I believe, and I was the younger version. And I'm like, okay, what's the lines? He's like, no lines. Let's just talk. Let's play one-on-one. I'm like, there's no lines? Like, so I start reaching for the ball. He's like, you reach, I teach. Right? And he's kind of, I'm going off of his flow. I'm like, okay, am I playing? I'm trying to play like me. I'm trying to play. Just play. And the director that day, his name is Joe. I forget his last name. He directed Space Jam. He's like, go up and dunk and do that. And MJ was like, JC doesn't do all that dunking. All right. And then they had Kevin Daly from the Harlem Globetrotters who was doing the actual dunking. So I did the one-on-one stuff on the court, talking to him, playing one-on-one and that stuff. And it was really, really a dream come true. I didn't know then it would be such an iconic commercial.
But, you go home, you tell your boys, like, hey, what'd you do today? I was Michael Jordan versus Michael Jordan.
Nah, Dan, it was the other way. As soon as I got the call, I said, I'm going to be in the commercial with Michael Jordan. So it was different.
And you got Gatorade, right?
And I got Gatorade. And I actually got a check from Gatorade for that. I couldn't believe that. I was like, I get paid to be in a commercial with Michael Jordan. This is crazy.
Is there hope for the Lakers?
Their best hope, Dan, is that they make the playoffs. I actually think they could be a better playoff team than they were a regular season team. And I believe with the veterans they have, the game slows down dramatically. And the Lakers kind of need that. They don't really enjoy doing extra effort things or getting out in transition or running back too much. So I think they're actually built more for the playoffs. I'm just not sure they get there.
Would you make Russell Westbrook sixth man?
No, I would not do that. I would actually stagger his minutes a lot more, like most great teams do, right? Or when they have two great players that kind of on the perimeter, I would stagger his minutes a lot more. So he would probably come out at the 8-minute mark, let LeBron play the whole first quarter. Then I bring back Russ the second quarter with the second unit. So that's a way of kind of staggering their minutes where he gets comfortable being more the focal point, because Westbrook is this is low-hanging fruit. The Lakers' issues are a lot deeper than Westbrook when I watch them play. But I would stagger his minutes to kind of put him more in that alpha dog role when he's out there with the second unit.
What are some of the issues that are deeper rooted than Russ?
Like I said, extra effort. I feel like when they're winning, they have a lot more energy. Things are different. When they're not winning, it's like a boxer. You're going to get hit in a boxing match. If you get hit, you got to fight back. And when I see them get hit, they don't necessarily always fight back. And that's kind of the problem. AD's not there. They have some deeper issues.
What's the coolest thing in your office?
My wife got me my first ever shoes over on, you can't see them right now, but my rookie shoes, I hadn't seen them since I was a rookie. So she found those. And then I would say the Kobe shoes he actually signed for me. And then the Jordan picture right there over my shoulder. That's probably those three, top three.
Okay. But if you have to get out of the house and you take one thing, what are you taking?
I'm taking Kobe shoes that he signed for me because I can never get those again.
What did he write on there?
And I was looking forward to that too, Dan. I was like, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? He said, Jamal, great competing against you all these years.
Yeah.
Much respect. And that for him, that was so big because he thrived on competition. We had some great battles. So.
Do you think Kobe could be underrated because he's sort of in between LeBron and Mike?
Yes, without a doubt. And I think he's a top 5 basketball player of all time. I feel like you could have dropped him in any era in his peak, and he would have been a top 5 basketball player all time. Like I said, his skill level was out of this world. Then he had a shot where he was shooting left hand. Like he was shooting, even Mark Cuban had to stand up. Like that was just unbelievable, right? I mean, he had 62 and 3/4 and the Mavs had 61. They said, Kobe, you want to get 80? He said, no, I'll do it later. He did it a month later. Like he was out of this world good. He's the best player I ever played against and matched up against. So yeah, he's underrated for sure. And I hope more guys who played against him.
I thought that he could have. I thought he could have scored 100 in a game because he had the mentality to do that. And I mean, he got 81, but
yeah, he wasn't far off.
Yeah, because he would have gotten 80. We had Dirk Nowitzki on earlier in the week, and he said, Kobe outscored us, and then didn't play in the fourth quarter. So he put up 62 and didn't play in the fourth quarter. He said it easily could have gotten 80, 85, in my opinion.
Dan, has anybody ever done that? And then to actually go get 80 after that, like his mentality, his skill level, his work ethic. Mamba mentality is a way of life. It's not just on the court. It's how you live. It's maximizing every second to what you do, what your craft is, and how you go about your craft. So it's inspiring. Kobe had a whole different aura about him. There could be a room full of stars. He would walk in, and even the stars would be like, that's Kobe. He had a different deal with him.
Although when Michael showed up at this 75th anniversary team.
Oh, I tweeted about it. Did you see that? That was, okay. Kobe had a different swag about him. Jordan's was the same level, but he had a glow when he walked in as well. It's like, is there smoke around that guy? What's everything freezes? What's going on with him? Absolutely.
That was when the crowd goes crazy, and it's Cleveland. So this is LeBron's town. Mike comes in, and all of a sudden, LeBron who?
And it's amazing. My 11-year-old son, JJ, we watched it, and he said, "Look how MJ walks in." I said, "How did he walk in?" He said, "He walked in like a boss. Like he just walked in like he owned the joint, right?" And I'm like, if my 11-year-old son picked up on that, I know the players there did as well.
Can JJ shoot?
Oh yeah, he can shoot it. He can really shoot. He can play. He loves the game. I actually coach him. And this is my first year doing that. I'm having a ball with it. So, yeah, he can play.
I know you live in Seattle. When's Seattle getting the NBA team here, Jamal?
You see my shirt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a little innuendo here. We're putting this out here.
I like it.
I believe in the next 5 years. I believe the hockey team had to come first, and now we got that. Everybody sees our fan base. You see the Storm, the Seahawks, the Mariners, now the Kraken. We have an unbelievable fan base. People love coming to the city. We're built for it, and we'll support it well. So I think within the next 5 years. I said that 10 years ago, but now I actually believe it. I believe it's 5 years.
Downtown Freddie Brown, Jack Sikma.
Yes, sir. Lenny Wilkins. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Williams. That was a lot of fun. That I love the atmosphere, because I'll go back to when George Karl was there, and they were in the finals against Mike, and I thought Sean Kemp was the best player on the floor, Jamal. In the NBA finals against the Bulls, it was like, holy smokes, that's a whole different guy.
Yeah, he was out of this world good. You had Gary Little hampered, and he came and played well towards the end. MJ was MJ, of course, but Sean Kemp was the one people talked about. Like, you know what? This guy came out of nowhere. I mean, the dunk when he went over Rodman, and he had some great moments. And Sean is him and his wife Marvina are great in the community. Even now to this day, they do a lot of things that we collaborate on.
Great to talk to you again, as always. And if the Clippers, the Lakers, and Golden State called right now,
I'll be ready.
10-day contract, you could go.
No doubt about it. I'll be ready, and I'll get some buckets.
Oh, I know that. Did you ever do points per minute in your career? Like, how many points did you score per minute in your career?
I've never done that. That's a good one. I know one year, my first year in LA, I think per 48, I was at like 30. I was pretty high my first year. That's the year Steph and I both thought we were making an all-star game. We talked about it, and we both were wrong because David Lee snuck in there and took it.
Oh.
But yeah, that first year when I was with the Clippers. But I've never done that.
Is Steph a better shooter than you?
He is. He absolutely is. He can get hot. He's better than anybody that's ever shot the ball. And the way he's changed the game.
Is anybody better than – okay, so Steph is on his own level.
Own planet.
Okay, is there anybody else who's a better shooter than you, in your opinion?
No, there's a lot of guys, actually. Ray Allen, Reggie Miller. Those guys were knockdown shooters. Even Kevin Durant, he doesn't get the credit he deserves just as a pure shooter. Kyrie as well. There's some great shooters out there, but I would say I'm in the top 10 somewhere.
That's not bad. Not bad. Great to catch up with you again, as always. Jamal, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's Jamal Crawford, Turner Sports NBA analyst and 3-time winner of the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award.